doing it anyway. It's Friday. Welcome to the live stream here at Townsends. I'm John, and there's these other guys behind the scenes here that are doing the real work. There's Aaron on the console who's making all the pictures and stuff work right. And
I already messed up the audio at the beginning because we're so not ready.
Great.
It's fine now, though.
Anyway, so like Aaron's making the internet work right, and I don't know. And then Kyle is on the question.
Hello.
He's in the question seat there to read out questions. And Ryan.
Hey.
He's there to keep me in line and keep this thing rolling. Welcome all you new subscribers from the Macaroni and Cheese episode. So once a week we do a cooking episode on Mondays. So every Monday it's a cooking episode, just like the Macaroni and Cheese episode. And if you've gone into the back catalog, you've seen there are hundreds of cooking episodes back there. We also do typically on a Thursday, although I'm thinking we may move to Wednesday. We do another kind of video. I don't know what is that video? Like yesterday's video where I talked about the Fort Wayne inventory. What do you call that kind of video?
Whatever John feels like talking about when he comes in that morning video.
Yes, that's that kind of video that we do on a Thursday. May move it to Wednesday just to break that up, you know. And on Friday we do this live Q&A, and sometimes I cook something really easy, but generally I don't have a fire here, so and they don't want me to make a fire here in the studio because they say it will choke them out. And it's like, hey, that's what I do every time. Anyway, so welcome to this live stream. And basically it's like a live Q&A. Sometimes I've got a little bit of a topic. Today, not really. It was it's a super busy time of year right now. We're working on the catalog. We're working on new products. We're taking pictures. We're doing video work. It's just a nightmare here. And so I'm a little behind, but I'm always a little behind. What else do we have to talk about, Ryan?
Well, how about our support sites? Let's thank people for supporting us.
I really want to thank you guys for supporting us. In fact, you guys have done a super job on Patreon. Patreon is one of the great ways that people support us, and we're almost at the $1,000 a month mark, which is incredible. So thank you for all your support, Patreon supporters. If you want to support us in that way, it's a great way. There's a link down in the description section. And Patreon is a way that you can support us a small amount once a month. It's a really nice way of helping us out. We also use like Super Chat as a way to help us out. I think there's a PayPal link down in the description section, and there's a link to our merch store if you want to buy items. Now, of course, we've got our regular items, 18th century shirts and waistcoats and hats, because that's what we do. In fact, if you saw yesterday's video with all the clips of the products that they had in the Fort Wayne inventory, well, those were all things that we sell at James Townsend & Son, or Townsend's. But there are also things like t-shirts, mugs, etc. We're getting new merch in all the time, and we got some really cool mugs coming and some t-shirt designs, but they're not here yet. And is there anything else? Oh yeah. So if you want to get in on like sales, email sales, we've got a sale that's coming right up. It's going to go out later today, maybe tomorrow. But we've got a bunch of the books that we're working on they're going to be in the sale for this week's email. If you want to get in on those emails, there's a link down in the description section to sign up for the email list. Do that. You'll get an email once or twice a week about whatever's on sale or kind of new products at Townsend's.
And there is a link to those books in the description.
Oh, okay.
20% off of 5 titles. We're really excited about it.
Yes.
Yeah, and there are 2 email links. There's one for the main one that he was just talking about, and then there's one for the YouTube sign up, which we need to do more of that. But it's down there if you want to sign up.
I forgot to send it out just now. See, told you it was busy. Really busy.
We've got the Instagram contest winner.
Yes, Instagram.
If Aaron, you want to put that over there? Nice. Yeah. So this was teacher Dunnigan, he won. I don't even think that he knows that he won. I'm going to get a hold of him right after this video and send him a gift certificate. And if you guys, well, you can talk a little bit about that.
Right.
Now.
So if you're interested in this, basically once a week we pick out an Instagram picture that kind of strikes our fancy. All you need to do is put a what are they called?
A hashtag.
Yeah, hashtag. That's the word. A hashtag Townsends. Hey, now stop that. They're making
Old people don't know about hashtags.
I knew it. It's just my brain wasn't giving me the word.
Hashtag old people don't know about hashtags.
Oh man.
Anyway, if you want to hashtag Townsends, or you can @Townsends_official. You can kind of
Do both.
Yeah, do both. That way we can easily find those things. We pick one out once a week, and you're the winner if we pick you. So thank you for those folks who do that, and we have a lot of fun seeing those pictures. Pictures that are historical, reenacting historic sites, or maybe Townsend's merch. Unboxing. You could do any number of things that just relate to whatever we do. That'd be great.
Let me get this donation real quick.
Yes.
$1.99 from Drew. Thank you.
Thank you, Drew.
He says, how about some Townsend's brand nutmeg?
We're thinking about it. In fact,
Yep.
I've already worked up part of that, trying to... Yes. Thank you for the suggestion, and we will do it.
We hope to.
Because
We're gonna do it.
I think it's $3 a pound, right? No, I wish it was $3 a pound, just like an inventory.
I really want an unboxing picture. Like the first person that takes a picture in their pajamas holding the Townsend's product is going to win.
Like
I
it's
promise.
Christmas.
Yes.
Now,
Do
that's
it
a
this
challenge.
week.
That's a
If
challenge.
The first one in pajamas wins. I
Got to
promise.
be pajamas and merch, right?
Right, not just your pajamas. I'm more concerned about the merch, but yes, pajamas, please.
18th century pajamas?
I don't care. Yeah, sure.
Gotcha.
Ooh, let me get this donation real quick.
Yes.
I don't know what currency this is. Oh, Swedish.
Okay.
SEK. 50 SEKs, which I don't know what that is. But anyway,
Thank you.
Def2224 says, any knowledge of Swedish culture in colonial America?
Oh, well, yes. In fact, Peter Kalm is the kind of perfect go-to for that, because he comes over from Northern Europe, from Sweden, I believe, and he actually connects with a bunch of Swedish folks that I think they're in the New Jersey area. He connects with them, and he travels around and then sends his information back. So it's sort of like a travel log of what North America is like from his perspective. So yeah, there's some great information from that right within his. Yes.
Which
Ryan.
book is that? Peter Kalm. What's the title?
Peter Kalm's Travels in North America. And
Yeah, that's one of the books that's on sale right now. Yeah.
Well, I don't.
I think,
isn't it?
isn't it?
No.
Oh.
This one, I don't think we've received our copies yet. But that's one of the books that we're going to be selling. We don't have it in stock right yet, but it's obviously almost here. So we're working on a set of Peter Kalm's. Yeah, I know it's terrible.
I'll try my best not to mess up anymore.
Yeah, Ryan. Good luck with that. Anyway, okay. I answered that question?
Yeah, I think so. Thank you for the donation.
Yes, thank you
and that's
so
a
much.
crone.
Thank you.
Yes.
And they made fun of me, the typical
Yeah.
American not knowing.
Exactly.
That's right. Aaron
Exactly.
is the
We're
typical
just-
American.
We
So
barely
very
know
typical.
the dollars in our pocket, much less other people's
Ooh,
currency.
here's a. Hang on, I'll switch to the other cam. Here's a cool donation. $17.76.
Look
A
at that.
Ward.
Nice.
Thank you for the inspiration from your cooking videos. I appreciate them and the time taken to make them. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for your
Thank you.
support.
Let me get this other one too. So many donations. Thank you guys. Joe Smith, $10. Any plans on delivering more into maritime food / ingredients? That'd
Oh.
be cool.
I'm always interested in that topic. Basically, anything maritime, naval is always one of those kind of, it's one of my I sort of have concentrated areas where I put a lot of my interest, even historically. It's generally very broad, but I've got specific interests in naval issues and things like that. So that's always on my radar, always working on that kind of thing. The problem is they had a very restricted diet, and so there wasn't a lot of variation, especially for a common sailor, and they didn't write that kind of stuff down. So, you only get sort of descriptions off the side. So it's a little bit more difficult to research some of those things. But yes, I'm always working on that one. And if somebody in the audience has a really good, reference that is actually, primary documentation on that, love to hear it. You can tell me, go read Patrick O'Brien novels, but I do that every basically day, so I already know that one.
Let me get one more, and then we can move on. $20 from Austin Griffin. Thank you. Hello from Jacksonville. Thanks for the wonderful content. Any chance you'll dip into medieval recipes? Also, St. Augustine is always open when you can. Thank you.
I know people
Thank
are
you.
asking for us to go down to St. Augustine, and it would be fun. It would be fun to go. There are so many great historic sites I really want to be able to go to, and wow, there's only so many days in the year. But medieval recipes, we do a lot of times study those specifically when we want to kind of get a feel for a 18th century recipe, and we many times will go back and look at earlier recipes to see kind of where it comes from, and then see where it goes to, like into the 19th century, into the 20th century. So, but there's so much to cover in 18th century cooking that it's hard for us to be able to go, way outside of that. I think I had a recent question that was asking about doing like Civil War or, different kinds of time periods. And it's like, well, we kind of stick within our time frame too, mostly. But if it's directly related to what we do, yeah, we'll cover it.
Okay, I'm going to do it. One more quick donation.
Go for it.
It's from Nicole Marley.
Nicole!
Hey, Nicole?
$2. And Nicole says, Zooey Mama. Thank you. Now, I want to say something real quick. It was pretty crazy because the macaroni video went viral.
Yeah.
Or not really viral. It was in trending. And it got into the Reddit videos subreddit.
Mm-hmm.
And I was reading through the comments on it. And all the comments were great. If you were on Reddit, thank you for the good comments. But somebody said, I immediately go and see if Nicole commented. Right? And then there are comments below it going, what are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
So the person had to explain the backstory of the Nicole comments. And it was like, wow, we have lore. And there's a Townsends channel backstory now, which is crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you, Nicole, for your comments and for your donation.
Hey, I just had a thought. It's March. We should talk about Kalamazoo because we're going to be there, and people can come and see us.
Yeah, Kalamazoo, Michigan. If you want to see us in person at an event with some of our merchandise, really, we just go there to say hi and talk to people. Kalamazoo, Michigan. I think it's. Do you know what Saturday and Sunday that
That's
is?
the weekend of the 17th.
Yeah, so 17th, 18th, 18th, 19th,
Yeah,
something like that.
right in there.
Right. So if you were in the Kalamazoo, Michigan area, you want to come by that. It's called the Living History event. I can't remember the name of it. I'm lousy.
I think
at
it's
that.
just the Kalamazoo Living History Show.
Yes, Kalamazoo Living History Show. That sounds about right. And that is an excellent show to go to because there are a lot of vendors there and a lot of really good stuff. Excellent event. I mean, obviously there aren't people outside shooting guns or doing, demonstrations, but if you want to see the kind of craftsmen there are and the kinds of merchandise they have, great event to go to. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, it is an indoor event, so
Yeah, indoor.
rain or shine, come on out.
Yeah, excellent event. Can I
Yeah, let's
talk
go to some
about
questions.
stuff
Or,
now? Wow.
yeah, go for it.
Whew. So, I had a couple little questions that were written that came into the comment section that I thought I would touch on. And most of them were specific. I don't think I had any macaroni and cheese questions because, if macaroni and cheese was it's a cool topic, but what are the questions going to be? So most of these are actually on yesterday's video, which had to do with the Fort Wayne Trading Post inventory, which of course I find massively fascinating and a lot of fun. And the book that, I don't know about where the actual list came from because it's probably in some archive somewhere, but the list was in the appendix here, and this is the archaeological reports for the Mississinewa campaign. So this was put together in 1977 by folks at Ball State University. I don't even know where it came from in our library. I don't know how we got it. The library here is kind of like that. You'll come down there and you'll find something on the shelf that maybe nobody's touched in 20 years, and it's like, what is this? I don't know where it came from. Anyway, this has got just a great quantity of great information in it, and Appendix 4F is the inventory of the merchandise. So some people asked a couple of questions. Brian Whiters says, were they rifles or were they muskets? And the inventory doesn't really go into a lot of detail on a specific thing like that, but there were rifles mentioned at least two places. And I do believe that if they were muskets, they would have said muskets. So I do believe that these are rifles that are listed in here for $12.50 a piece. There is also, as a sort of a side reference to that, fowling pieces. So shotguns, $11.33. They were less expensive. So those were there. So that's Brian's question. Shelley Barton says, tell us the cost of the bridle and reins. Now, let's see here. Those show up on the first page here. It says, here are 10 double-reined plated bridles. They were $5.50 a piece. That's expensive. The full-size woolen blanket, that was probably a fairly expensive piece. That was $4. So this is maybe a third of the price of a gun, a little bit more than a third of the price of a gun. So very expensive. Here are like snaffles with tips, 87 cents. Common snaffles, 75 cents. Saddlebags are $3.50. So there you go. You got some ideas there about how that works. There was another question somebody had. I'd mentioned in the video saddles, and yes, I did find multiple saddles listed here. Here we go. Ken says, John, did you mention the source of the Post's inventory? So I just mentioned that. I heard that in 1770s, 1780s, a rifle cost about $9 and the average person's annual wage was $12. A shopkeeper might make $60 annually. Does anyone have a comment on these numbers? I'm only going to guess. It really gets difficult in the 18th century to tease monetary values apart and understand them because they can be listed in a lot of different ways. Money was like shifting in the 18th century, and it was very difficult to know whether sometimes a price was listed in New York money or Pennsylvania money or British money, and those were completely different. So it can be really tricky. Now, by the time we get to 1811, the currency is very settled down. Here they're talking dollars. Those are silver dollars, very locked into what they were actually worth. Much easier to figure out what's going on in 1811 than in prices listed in 1770. As for the amount of money they made, again, it's kind of tricky to figure that part out. And I wish I had some more direct information on that. Candy Ginger says, Indian sugar, and they want to know what it was like. You just keep boiling maple syrup until it turns into a hard sugar. That's what your maple sugar is like. Okay, I am ready for some questions, unless you've got something else for me.
One or two donations, then we'll
Great.
get into the questions.
Go.
Sorry.
What do you mean, sorry?
Everybody's waiting to do questions. They're mad at you in the chat.
I'll shut up.
I'm just joking. Sarah, 20 Canadian dollars. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah.
Any other recipes from indigenous peoples that you can delve into? Definitely.
That's we're actually looking. We talked to a couple of different people about working with them on their particular expertise. We got a couple of folks that have that kind of expertise, and we hope to connect with them a little later on this spring or this summer to bring you that kind of content. So yes, that is actively, we're working on that.
Okay, and then hold on. Oh my gosh, I'm losing track of all of them. These are 100 Norwegian krones.
Thank you.
From Chelsea.
Thank you, Chelsea.
Channel has highly inspired me to write my first novel.
Hey, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, your boiled steak pudding with my own rendered suet recently. Delicious and really cool experience. That's awesome.
That's
Great,
really cool.
great.
Hey, keep us in the loop on that novel.
Yes.
Then we have. Well, hang on. Let's do some questions. I'll do donations because it's going to take too long. Let's do some questions.
Okay, let's do a couple questions.
I'll read the donations in a little bit. Thanks,
Okay.
everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, so it says, John, I had asked about food preparation and preservation in a comment in the past. Which would be more common, smoking or salting? And could you do a video on smoking meat for preservation?
Yeah, there's a lot to that, and it isn't necessarily one or the other sometimes. I think that smoking tends to be part of more of the process than just smoking it all by itself, at least typically in the time period. Although I don't, even when I think about it, it's like, I don't know if I could even say that. It can be more complex, let's just say, than just smoking a thing. Now, sometimes you do that with like fish, right? It's like, well, this one, it's just going to get smoked. Those kinds of preparation methods are really interesting and tricky to understand. I don't think they understood completely. Well, obviously they didn't understand exactly what was going on when they were preparing their foods like that, because there's a lot of like fermentation going on and all sorts of things that they wouldn't have understood. They just did it. Did I answer that question? I'm not sure where that. Are we going to do smoking? We will try to bring you some smoking episodes in the future. Smoking meat, that is.
Was there soy in the 1800s?
I don't have any. Obviously, there were in other parts of the world. I can't think of any references that I see that happening in English or North American cooking in our time period.
Where do you shoot your Monday indoor cooking videos?
About 2 or 3 miles south of this location, which is down, if you could call it downtown Pearston.
Downtown Pearston.
It's like a block long, downtown Pearston. But a couple miles south, is where I live. And we built our house about 25 years ago. One of the outbuildings that we created at the time when we originally built our house was a chicken house. And I repurposed that several years ago because all the chickens were dead. It's like, hey, I got this outbuilding. Let's turn it into a studio for doing cooking. I did actually think about making a cooking studio right here where we're at. This is the second floor of our store in Pearston. And everybody complained. They thought I would like burn the building down or whatever. So... And Ryan's shaking his head right now. I was like, yes, you probably
I really believe that you would have burned
So
the building down.
instead I built the set out at my house in a building that if it burnt down, hey, no big deal, right? So that's where we do the cooking episodes, and a lot of the outdoor episodes are at the same location, just not inside that little building. In fact, where I shot the Thursday's video was about 50 feet south of my house. So there you go.
Did people eat popcorn back then?
The Native Americans did a thing that was very much like popcorn. If you want to go back and check the parched corn episode, we kind of talk about that.
What were some other things they candied besides citrus peels, and what kinds of candy did they have back then?
They candied a lot of interesting and strange things, fruit things, sometimes kind of almost vegetable-y like things, flowers. So there were many different things they would preserve, and that's just one of those preservation methods that's going on in the 18th century. And I think most of their candy that we think of as candy is pretty much like that. The only other thing that's very candy-like that I hope to do an episode on pretty soon is called clear cakes, and they are another sort of candying method, but you have the whole piece of sugar there with things in it. So hopefully we'll be able to do another candy-like episode in the near future. So clear cakes, even though they sound strange.
Let me do these donations real quick.
Okay.
The ones that I skipped. So I think I need to do. So we did the Norwegian crown one, right? This is 20 Swedish. I think you say it's krona or krones.
Okay.
From Muggles Are Cool Tool. Two.
Oh yeah, they are.
Thank you. Weird question. And yes, they're saying don't ask this question. I want to ask it. How did people wipe before toilet paper? And then I'll let you do that. But let me. 18 pounds and 14 pounds from Blundering Tusk. Thank you. But he does emojis. I don't know what they are, but thank you.
Thanks.
Wait, I thought you young guys know all those.
Mm.
And then, sorry, there's a lot of donations today. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot,
all
guys.
so much. $5 from Robert Birch. Did vegetarians exist in the 18th century?
It's a common question, and we've kind of touched on it several times in the past. In fact, one of the books that we sell is a reprint of a period reprint, printed just like they would have done it and bound just like they would have done it in the 18th century. It's called Primitive Cookery, and it's a book that touches on the concept of vegetarian food. Now, he talks about it basically with the idea of, this is inexpensive food. Meat was expensive, so I put together this vegetarian cookbook or this meatless cookbook for the monetary or the economy part of that kind of issue. There were some people, though. There was a small set of people that thought that. I think most of them were not talking about vegetarianism from the. I think they were mostly approaching it from a health issue, not necessarily an ethical issue. So there's a lot of different ideas that are floating around in the 18th century, philosophical ideas, health ideas that were just the kernels of the ideas that we see kind of worked out much more further in today's world. They're there just in a very small way.
Okay, I have like 4 to read.
Okay.
Eric Brand, $5.
Thank you,
Thank
Eric.
you.
Thank
Was it
you,
common
Eric.
to wash before supper in the 18th century? So there's that one. $5 from Dynamite Stick. It's
Dynamite
talking about Kyle's manly beard.
Yes, thank you, Dynamite Stick.
Thank you.
Yes.
I've noticed a big. There's Kyle's been walking a little taller around this place since Dynamite Stick came around. So thank you so much for that.
$10 from Brian Bailey. Love the shows about food preservation methods. Which 18th century methods surprised you or impressed you the most? So, you've got the one about washing up, and then the preservation one.
You skipped wiping.
I'd like to talk about wiping.
Well, okay, let's do those 3.
I got nothing for you in Wipe Land. I don't spend my time studying that sort of part about sanitation.
I had a reenactor give me a long spiel about this.
Did you?
But the thing is you never know if it's like a fella trying to pull your leg or if it's a real thing.
Yeah.
And I probably shouldn't go there on this microphone. So it was a funny experience, though.
There's probably a whole book on it, and but I don't have that book. So
we need that book in the library.
Yeah, it's probably one we need in the library. I'll do some research on that for you. Washing up in the 18th century, I'm undoubtedly there was a certain segment of people that thought that was a really important thing to do. I don't think the vast majority of people were really terribly concerned about that, especially when you read up on things like, medical sanitation and cooking sanitation. Sometimes they talked about these female cooks were much better than the men because they were just cleaner, right? They don't mix up their food in a messy way or whatever. So there was a little bit of talk about that, but I don't think, at least for regular everyday folks, that was a big deal. I don't think they would have even recognized that. It's like, my hands are dirty, my hands are clean, So was there another question? What was the other one?
Preservation one. Which 18th century methods surprised you or have surprised you the most so far? I thought the egg in wasn't it sawdust?
Yeah,
that was crazy.
I mean, the egg one where they did eggs in lime, eggs in sawdust, eggs in ashes, a lot of different techniques they had to extend that. They also were preserving, root vegetables in interesting kinds of ways. I'm still digging into the fermentation issue, and sometimes you expect the pickling to be more of a fermenting thing when they don't actually seem to let that happen. There's a lot of variation within cultures, and I think that's probably what surprises me the most. Where certain cultures, sauerkraut's going to be really big with the Germans and Northern Europeans, and then you get to England and they're like, yeah, that's not so much. The divisions there are much greater than you might expect. So those are probably some of the surprises, I think, that I would get out of that.
A couple more. Man, a lot of donations. We really appreciate it. $5 from PUD219. Have been a subscriber since 25,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for sticking around.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
My question is, were there any recorded accounts of tornadoes in the 18th century?
Yeah, I don't know about actually living through the tornado or being around it at that time, but you get something like the Battle of Fallen Timbers that happens just right across the border into Ohio. It was fallen timbers because a tornado had gone through that and just wrecked the forests in that area. And so you obviously see the aftermath, and they were familiar with that kind of thing happening. I think because tornadoes are very kind of specific to this kind of region. They don't happen in other parts of the world. And even as you go to the East Coast, and if this was mostly wilderness, you just don't hear about it that often because nobody was around to record it or talk about it. But there's at least some references to that.
Hey, let's talk about Patreon supporters real quick. Let's thank them.
I really want to thank the folks that support us via Patreon. And if you're not familiar with Patreon, it's a simple sort of small once-a-month donation that people give us. It's a really great way for us to know kind of how people are going to support us in the future, because we see that sort of happening time and time again. So we know what's going to happen the next month. And that really helps us in a lot of different ways, with equipment or with special ways that we can go to visit a site or whatever. So I really want to thank the folks that support us through Patreon. Just recently, I asked them a question about live streaming specifically for them. I had some really interesting answers about that. So I really want to reach out and thank the folks that support us through Patreon.
And we had an Instagram picture winner for this week. Aaron's going to put that up one more time.
Okay.
And you want to talk a little bit about what we do with the Instagram photos for the people that just came on board?
Right. So the Patreon, or the Instagram thing is a little bit new. We just started doing this. If you have an interesting picture, historical, having to do with merchandise or reenacting or whatever, you can tag us, Townsends _official, or you can put a hashtag in there, just Townsends, and we will pick one of these out once a week, and we will feature it in the live stream, and we will send them a little gift certificate or whatever. So you see, it's up on the screen there.
Yeah.
Which one? What was the picture on this one?
So this was
can't
a pirate,
Oh, okay.
and it's Teacher Dungan.
So
And another way that folks can support us, especially right now, is we've got a book sale going on. Can you talk a little bit about those books and what's going on
right.
with
So one of the projects we were working on really, really recently is taking a lot of these books, books that we use for research, for videos, etc. Like this one, The Complete Housewife. We've been doing recipes out of The Complete Housewife very, very recently. A lot of times we do this research and they are online PDFs. You know, online PDFs are a real pain to research sometimes because I really enjoy having a real physical book. I can write notes into it. I can also reference things, read it from front to back instead of sort of picking and choosing through it. So we have these books. They're exactly like the original books were, except they're printed with a modern binding. These books we have available on our website. Some of them are cookbooks, some of them are journals. Travels in North America, Peter Kalm. The Nicholas Cresswell that I've talked about in the past, that's almost available. It'll be up on the website in just a day or two. So there's a bunch of these books.
Yeah. The Hessians has been really popular.
Yeah, the Hessians, that one isn't in here. But the Hessians book, another great book that is they're just super books to read through. They're fun. Some of these are 18th century ones, and they have the old F's instead of S's, and they can be kind of tricky to read, but that's a challenge. Other ones are 19th century works that have to do with the 18th century, so they're a little easier to read. But all these, we're working on new titles all the time. So if you've got a title that you would like to see in print, that's another thing we would love to hear about. But those are on sale. There's a link down in the description section right now.
So Kyle's got a couple more questions,
Good.
and Aaron's got a couple more donations. Thanks so much, guys, for being super
Yeah,
active
thank
in
you.
that chat today.
So, what were schools like in the 18th century?
Wow. Schooling in the 18th century is a very interesting topic that I've only just sort of scratched the surface on. And, we are used to this monolithic concept of education in the 21st century. There's the school and this is what it's like. It was nothing like that in the 18th century. There were all kinds of different ways people got education or didn't get education. So, you had the equivalent of homeschooling in the education. You had, in the 18th century, you had private school situations. You had, in some places, sort of public school ideas, but that really doesn't happen until the 19th century. Those concepts about, let's bring the community together, let's have all these kids together, that's a 19th century thing that was kind of picked up from the Germans in the early 19th century. So there's a lot to 18th century education.
How did people wake up on time?
I think you just get used to it. I know I hardly ever wake up to my alarm clock anymore. I think that it's kind of a natural thing in the time period that they would just naturally wake up when they needed to wake up.
Yeah.
Or I'm gonna do a couple donations.
Okay.
And you catch up on them. Don't leave anybody out.
Yes.
Okay, Nicole Rogers, $2.
Thank you, Nicole.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nicole.
Were there any edible cooked flowers back then?
Edible cooked flowers.
I'm gonna just go through them all.
Okay.
Emmy McDonald, $10. Thank you. Asks about doing maritime dishes.
Thank you. Yeah.
And this person's making ale steaks tonight. Awesome.
It's a good one.
Yeah. $1 from Jimmy Orr. Thank you
you.
so much. $5 from Andrew Benson. And he says, sounds like I need more cookbooks.
Thanks so much, guys.
So yeah, talk about the edible flowers first.
Edible flowers. So one of the topics that you kind of don't think about too much is what are with salads like in the 18th century, right? And they had salads or salads. as they like to refer to them. They don't necessarily show up in some of the cookbooks. Other ones, talk about it a lot more. And sometimes you see flowers showing up in those salads with the other greens. Now, did you say cooked flowers?
Cook flowers. Flowers that people oftentimes cooked is what I'm guessing. So we had the candy violets video,
Right.
Right.
They had another one that shows up is pot marigolds. So not the marigolds that a lot of times we see, but what is it? Calendula, I think is what it's called. That's another flower that shows up specifically being eaten, and I'm not sure.
They're using rose a lot for rose water.
Right. Sometimes you also see orange blossom, that kind of thing in there too. I think that's the only ones that I can think of off the top of my head.
There was what was the other question?
It was about maritime dishes.
Yeah, 18th century maritime dishes. If we're gonna, have we considered doing?
I was mentioning it a little bit earlier. It's one of my primary exciting kind of segments of history, and I love that. Division sailors and naval things, maritime things, and tall ships and all that kind of good stuff. So that kind of food is always sort of in the back of my mind. But again, it's a hard one to research. They didn't have that many individual, they made all their food up out of just a few ingredients. So it's a little trickier to research those things.
John, I saw a comment earlier that suggested the O'Brien books.
Yes, Patrick O'Brien. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. $5 from Sam.
Thank you, Sam.
I don't know how to say his last name.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you so much. $5 from Ashen Crow. Your videos inspire me to try so many new things in the kitchen. Great. We love to hear that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people are scared to get in there and start cooking. And let me tell you, if I can do it, anyone can do it. And basically, I just run at it, hacking at it with the utensils until I get there. So, do it.
It'd be awesome if people that have tried recipes can comment in the chat right now what they found particularly easy and had success with, so people can get an idea where to start. That'd be really great.
Yeah, and I didn't mention it to you guys. Natalie and Tara,
yeah,
they just
I know,
did
I saw that.
They just did a ketchup where they experimented with some historical ketchups. In the past, they've done the mushroom ketchup one. They love that. Now they were trying some other ketchup recipes. I don't know if it turned out so well.
Natalie and Tara try stuff or try things. If you search that on YouTube, they've got a cool little channel where they do all sorts of crazy things, but they've referenced us a few times, so go check that out.
Yep.
Kyle, you have any questions?
Oh, I've got a ton of questions.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
All right. Would you ever consider doing an episode on perpetual/eternal stew?
That is, I think we've mentioned it a little bit in some past episodes. I certainly do my best to, again, that's one of those super common people dishes that doesn't get talked about in a recipe book. But the concept is wonderful, and it's one of those sort of, you just keep throwing stuff in the pot and you take it out and you put more stuff in, and, it just keeps making this, the food stays on the fire basically all day long, and you just keep making it. Really interesting topic. I think it's a little earlier, but again, great topic. So yeah.
How were the wounded treated during the War of Independence?
They had field hospitals and regular hospitals, and a lot of people prayed they didn't have to, that's like, no, leave me on the field. The survival rate was better for people who didn't go to the hospital than those who did. Just plain scary.
Where do you get all your recipes from?
Well, The Complete Housewife, The Art of Cookery right here, and probably 20 other period cookbooks that we research, go through all the time, cross-reference them. These are all works generally from 1700 to about 1820s where we find these period cookbooks. That's where they come from.
Let me do a quick donation and then we'll keep going with questions. $10 from Cascas.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Are you going to write a book, something like My 18th Century Life in the 21st Century, or John's Brushes with Greatness?
As close as I would probably ever get to is taking one of these cookbooks and actually doing commentary on the individual recipes. That sounds like fun, and we may be able to get to something like that in the future. But those kinds of projects just they are hugely time consuming, and I am already doing as much as I can possibly do, and then I keep adding more onto what I do.
Somebody's asking where and when will your vest be on sale?
Our waistcoats, that's a typical item that's available in our catalog and on our website. It does not have an option for this flowered, floral material. But if you call up and ask the folks in customer service, we can get something like that made for you. And I think we were going to try to get that on the website. We're always working on strange projects like that.
What are your thoughts on Preston Garvey and the Minutemen?
I'm not familiar with Preston Garvey.
We get a donation real quick. $5 from Sam Whiting. Did he donate already? Yeah, he did.
Yeah, thanks, Sam.
Thanks again. Thank you. How do 18th century merchants order more goods? And how long does it take to get the goods from ordering to delivery?
Wow. There's some interesting information on that, and especially something like so many times, like the tobacco growers in Virginia. They would grow all this tobacco. They would ship it off, and they would have the factors who actually were purchasing the tobacco in Britain send stuff back to them. So it might take them 6 months to get the stuff they asked for. That's just individual growers getting the things that they were asking for. Other times, it might take several months. There's a great book that has to do with a particular stocking seller, a merchantman who has stockings, and then he ships them to London, and it takes like months. And it's like the stories are really, really interesting when you can find them. Those are tricky things to get research on, but you can imagine sending a letter asking for things, not giving them specifics, and then they would ship you back stuff months later and it maybe not fit or whatever. It's a great topic.
Any interesting Easter traditions from the 18th century? Were Easter eggs a thing yet?
No, I don't think you're going to see anything like that in the 18th century. It's just a religious holiday, and even then, I don't believe it's really popular. It depends on the culture, so I couldn't give you really good answers for that right this second.
Do you cook for your family?
Some, not a lot. My wife is a wonderful cook, so I let her do all that wonderful stuff, and I just make messes in the kitchen when it's my turn. So that's why I have my own kitchen outside.
Hey, let's talk about how folks can support the channel ways that aren't monetary. They can share things, whatnot.
There are really, I really want to thank folks for all the different ways that you support us, and something as simple as watching our videos that actually supports us. The commenting on our videos, the encouragement that we get is an incredible support. So I want to thank everyone that encourages us in the comment section, and that sort of feeds on itself. There aren't I can't think of any YouTube channel that has as good a comments as we have. I want to thank you for that. Also, when people share our videos, that's how things like Monday's macaroni and cheese gets popular, because people share our videos. That is a tremendous way that all you folks out there can support us. Did I miss anything?
No, I don't think so. We always also enjoy when people just stop in the store. We have, people traveling across the country going through Indiana. Stop in, say hi.
Yeah, such a wonderful, supportive community here. So thank you guys so much for all that you do with us that way.
Okay, one more time. Let's talk about Patreon and the email sign up and all that because we got to wrap this sucker up.
Okay. Woo.
Well, let me do a couple more.
Go ahead. Go
donations.
for it, Aaron.
So a dollar from Jimmy Orr. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Jimmy.
$10 from 1.5 Acre Suburban Homestead.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Really
you.
enjoyed your channel. Looking forward to receiving my pocket knife, pocket spice box.
Oh, yeah.
An 18th century DVD. Cheers from Joshua from Australia. Oh, so
Wow, that might take a
$10.
little bit to get there. Yeah.
yeah. Thank you. I think that's all I got right now.
Great. Thank you, Aaron. And thank you, everyone that supported us in the super chat today. It has been super. Let me tell you, that's
today.
crazy. But we do have a lot of folks that support us over on Patreon. I really want to thank you, Patreon supporters out there. You know, so many of you, it's like, no, you don't need to give us anything extra. But thank you so much for supporting us on Patreon. Patreon is just a way that some people support us. It's just a small amount every month. You get to choose the amount. Some people support us with $2 or $1 or $5. Some people even more. I really want to thank you, Patreon supporters, for supporting the channel. It makes it so that we can do what we do. It is tricky to put out all these videos, but we can do it because of the way you guys help support us, and we hope to do even more in the future. We're so excited by that. Are we there?
Well, let's talk about Instagram one more time. I really want to see a photo of somebody holding merchandise in their pajamas.
Something in pajamas. Wow. I don't know if this is safe.
Well, let's be tasteful. Yes. Okay,
so we have every Friday we pick out an Instagram picture. We feature it in the live stream, and we send the winner a gift certificate. If you want to participate, if you've got a picture historical or merchandise related or reenacting or whatever, post your picture on Instagram. Put a hashtag in there, Townsends, and also you could sort of tag us with Townsends _official. That's our Instagram feed. Do that. We would love to see your pictures. I really want to thank everyone for all your amazing support. Obviously, it's been such a wonderful live stream. Thank you for your great questions and your massive encouragement. And thanks for watching.
Say bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.